Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Donut Hole, your place where a couple of guys sit around and pontificate. My name's Paul,
And I'm Jason.
and it is November 17th. We're coming at you from our studios here in Nashville. So, let's just dive into the show, I guess.
All right.
Obviously, there's the Trump stuff going on with the continued witch hunt in the Senate as far as the impeachment hearings go. I think they've come out with it's mostly he said, she said, got this information third hand from my brother's uncle's cousin crap.
Yeah. There were witnesses involved who'd never met the president, did not listen in on the phone call.
Didn't know the Ukrainian
Never-
president either.
Never met the White House chief of staff. So,
Yeah.
just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's just more of the same crap.
Yep.
And I think at this point it's going to start to come back and bite the left in the ass.
Oh, and
but-
they have changed from quid pro quo to bribery because they had focus groups.
oh,
Yes, the Democrats ran focus groups on what words to use in the media. Mm-hmm. So, that's
now it's not quid pro Joe, it's bribery,
yeah.
which is kind of exactly what Joe Biden basically did, except his was more extortion, but extortion is really just the negative end of bribery. You know, bribery is do this for me, I do this for you.
Right.
Whereas extortion is if you don't do this for me, I'm going to,
Withhold this.
do this terrible thing to you.
Right.
It's the opposite. So, but opposite end of the spectrum, same thing though.
Flip side of the coin. Yep.
Yep. So that's joyous. So that's what we get to contend with here, continuing in the United States. Of course, the DNC has yet to come out with a viable candidate for. They're just at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to kind of move around from some of the stuff we wrote down. I think you actually brought up the fact that there was a meeting with former President Obama where he was telling them, "Hey guys, don't go so far left. Kind of tone it down a little bit if you actually want to, get anywhere." Which spawned the
the hashtag too far left. So I guess he had this meeting with him, told him, hey, don't go so far left. It was a fundraising meeting, and they said
Okay.
if we want to raise more funds, and I imagine especially from your Wall Street types and whatnot, they don't, wealth confiscation isn't going to get you donations.
no.
So it created a whole blowback of hashtag too far left and, various extreme left Democrats saying things like, well, if, education, forgiveness of student loan debt and free healthcare is hashtag too far left, then I'm hashtag too far left. So,
Yeah.
so I guess, blowback against Obama even.
Well, I guess that makes Obama hashtag too far right.
Yeah, definitely.
Fun.
And it's as we were talking earlier, we haven't even gone a full term with a Republican president, and already, they're looking at the last Democrat president as too moderate, which people know that when Barack Obama was elected, he was considered very far left, but now he's not left enough for them.
He was left a bit on social issues and what have you. I would say on like foreign policy, he was kind of just a neocon centrist kind of piece of crap. But
Yeah,
That wouldn't really
lots
say-
of drone strikes, lots of just same old George Bush type.
yeah, that's what I meant, like neocon-y, very
Yeah,
much
just
so.
George Bush 2.0 kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was on the home front. He was a little bit more, socially left. I
Yes.
suppose.
Yeah. But either way, he's now
Too far right.
too far right. Yeah.
Speaking of other people that are too far right, let's just go back into Bill Maher and Pierce Morgan. I was watching a thing where I think it was Pierce Morgan was giving an interview, and he was basically calling out the left in the U.S., saying, "Hey, look, you guys, I agree mostly with you guys on a lot of stuff, but this, kind of rhetoric and this kind of crap, this division is not good. You guys are really screwing this up."
Yeah.
And you mentioned Bill Maher.
Yeah, I saw a Bill Maher clip where he went on basically a 5 or 6 minute rant talking about, the terms destroy the cons, own the cons, or libs, or what have you. And he even said that he's going to try to tone down his rhetoric because it's gotten out of control. And the example was Thanksgiving dinner. You see all these articles always from left-leaning outlets about how to deal with your conservative family. And Bill Maher made a very good observation is that, these are your blood. This is your own brothers, sisters, mothers, cousins, aunts, uncles. And your leftist ideas are more important than your family. Which led him to say, hey, we need to tone it down. He said, learn the term, let it go. and because otherwise we're looking at another civil war. And I mean, Bill Maher said this. Who's an extremely left-wing guy.
Yeah, and very mainstream, if you
Yes.
will. And for the mainstream now to say, hey, look, we're kind of getting kind of close to this whole internal conflict that we're, a Civil War 2.0, if you will, or American Revolution 2.0, or whatever you want to look at it, some sort of civil conflict in the United States. That's kind of showing us the state of affairs in here at home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Bill Maher's point was not to say tone it down or go more far to the right or anything with their beliefs. He was just saying on your interactions with other people, we have to get along. We have to live in this society together. And after all, at the end of the day, 50% of the country is one way, 50% is the other, and they are our family and our friends and our bosses and coworkers and what have you. And we have to live with that. And if we can't live with that, bad things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep, bad things will happen. Well, I guess let's go ahead and... since we're kind of talking still internet kind of type stuff, let's talk a little bit about how you and I are both boomers.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. Yeah, because, of course, we all know you're a Gen Xer. I'm on that cusp of barely being a millennial. Mm-hmm. But, of course, I was called out for being a boomer.
Yeah.
On the internet. And of course, I corrected that person, and then I was mansplaining.
Yes.
At which point, I had to be a dick, and I had to go and say, well, how dare you assume my gender? Because I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
But, if they want to play these stupid fucking libtard games, I can play them back. We can go this way. I mean, I'm obviously a dude, but, I'm sure out of the, 700,000 genders there are now, or whatever the hell, I'm sure I could find something that's basically a dude that's not a dude.
Yeah.
And I could proclaim to be that.
Yeah, you could. You could say that you are a lady, but you're a dude also, or something. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I think it would be, I self-identify as an internal lesbian trapped in a man's body with the comfort of accepting my deformity and embracing it. Of
Yes,
being born with male anatomy.
Because you're more
There we
afraid
go.
of the medical procedures than your current male form.
Exactly. And I've come to embrace and accept my disfigurement.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it
of
is.
seeking to have plastic surgery, you've embraced your disfigurement.
And it's body empowerment.
You're a lesbian. Yes. Body positivity.
Yes.
There's some more buzzwords.
Positivity, self-empowerment,
Yeah.
all these kind of things. Yeah.
But yeah, back to the okay boomer. I'd seen this a lot myself. You were the one that first told me you got called a boomer, and then maybe 2 days later, I'm looking at internet discussions and I'm seeing, I think it's just a bunch of leftists who sit around waiting for somebody to make a somewhat conservative. It doesn't even really have to be conservative, just traditional
or common sense.
or common sense argument or point, and then they just type out okay boomer. Regardless of the age or generation of the person that they are intending to insult. Mm-hmm. It's very strange. Mm-hmm. Once again, the left can't meme. We all know that. The extreme left has lost all sense of humor. So, no laughing at your physical disfigurement. It's not. See, you're smiling right now, and that's not acceptable. You need to really accept your physical disfigurement.
Yeah.
It's a very serious issue.
It is.
Because nothing's funny anymore.
No, it's not.
Nothing.
I think in the example you mentioned, talking about the whole okay boomer thing, the person that was calling the other person a boomer was actually older than the person they were calling the boomer.
Yes, I mean,
made
I
it
don't know that for sure, but looking at their profile pics, that appeared to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what the hell? It's like they're just taking this whole generational thing, throwing it out the window to fit whatever crazy BS thing they come up with. And this is something the left does a lot, is they change words. Mm-hmm. Words have no meaning, and if words don't have any meaning, then you can't even communicate. And that's really what they like. They like to change the words of everything.
It's because you automatically win the argument. If you can change the meaning of your word, and not only your words, the words others speak,
Yeah.
then you can assume their intent, you can change their intent to your will, and you can change your own arguments and your own intent at your will, and you automatically win every argument. It reminds me of a game my little sister used to play when she made up a game when she was maybe 6, 7 years old, and of course we used to just play with her just to make her happy. She called it Swiss cheese. Don't know why, but it was basically a card game where no matter what happened, she won. She would make up the rules as she went along and say, "Oh well, a pair doesn't mean anything anymore. No, see, I've got a 6, a 9, and a 10. That wins." And of course, we're just having fun as kids and letting her do her thing. Well, I think that the entire internet argument of leftists is now Swiss cheese. It's just, they win no matter what. Doesn't matter. Just Swiss cheese will change the rules and the words and anything at any moment.
It's a very good analogy.
Yeah.
Very good analogy. Goodies. All right, let's see what else. Oh, you recently purchased a new rifle scope. Tell us how that went.
Note, got a Simmons, I believe it's called a 22 mag 3x9 rifle scope off of Amazon. Wanted something relatively affordable, about $35 or so off Amazon.
Cheap scope.
Yeah, cheap scope. But I just wanted it for 22. If it was on a 30-06, it wouldn't hold zero for more than 10 shots.
Probably shatter the glass.
Yeah, but so far took it to the range, got it sighted in, which took a 100-round box of ammo because of my bench rest and just the range, just the various problems we had. But hey, it's
And the shooter.
it's yeah,
Just
and
giving
the
you some
shooter
shit. Just giving you
and the
some shit.
table and there's just a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But ends up though, I just got to give it a good positive recommendation for anybody wanting just something for a rimfire. Or I even ordered a second one for my air rifle.
And it was a Simmons 3x9.
3x9.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I will say full magnification. Wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend going above 7. It just I didn't like the sight picture at that point. But honestly, for what I'm using it for, for a 22 at 40 to 50 yards, it's fine at a 7 times magnification.
Okay. Oh, cool.
I just wanted to give them a shout out because it's rare that you get a product so affordable and that is actually decent.
Well, text me the link and
I will-
I'll throw
will
it in
do.
the description for everybody.
All right,
If they're
will do.
interested in picking one up for themselves.
Yeah, like I said, great for an air rifle too. If at $35, you can't beat the price.
And we're not monetized on this either, so we're just giving you a product that he found. We're not actually getting a commission or anything off this either.
There's
So
always if you get a product that's affordable and decent.
we need to
just
start
wanted to
doing
mention
that
it.
though. Is if we do find a product that we like, being able to add it to like a Amazon list where we get like a 10-cent commission on it or
Yeah,
whatever. But we
yeah.
haven't done that yet, so
Yeah.
we should probably look into that in the future.
Also ordered some fishing stuff from AliExpress out of China. Very cheap, good fishing products.
Which is not something you normally expect on AliExpress or Alibaba or Wish or any of these other
Yeah.
cheap Chinese things. But
I will say though, AliExpress, it takes forever to get here.
same as Wish, yeah.
Yeah.
And or ordering it from Alibaba, unless it's a large enough order for them to do like I actually say Alibaba the full site. They can be okay with it. It usually takes a week or two.
Yeah.
But that's usually a large order or a large
Right.
product order. They're
Yeah, this
expecting.
took, I think, a month.
Yeah.
And that was airmail. That's not, slow boating it. So I imagine if it's something they would, because from my understanding, it's like a eBay.
Yeah. Kind of.
Like different companies sell their products on it. So like the shipping is up to each company that's selling their product and whatnot.
Yeah.
So if you did happen to run across something that was slow boated, I would expect to wait many months.
Yeah. I've ordered some various things like that. It can take up to a month and a half, 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, as far as payment and whatnot, it's pretty reliable and safe. You can, it's not a shady overseas site. It's a legitimate business site.
Yeah. It's like a sister site to Alibaba.
Yeah.
So more direct to consumer kind of deal. So not quite as good a pricing if you order on Alibaba itself, but then again, you don't need 5,000 shipping lures or fishing lures.
Yeah, I was going to say, I ordered 10, not 10,000. I guess I could start a little business, but I don't know. That seems like a lot.
Yeah. Actually, usually you can do like a minimum order of like 100. You can get away with that on your first order.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you order on Alibaba, you can just say, I want to do a trial order or a product testing order. And you can knock them down to 50 or 100.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah.
future reference.
That would maybe be worth it.
Yeah. Just every 6 months. Hey, I'm going to do another testing order of 50.
Well, 50 fishing lures, I think that would just be fine for many years.
And they email you back and they keep sending you emails for new products. You're
Yeah.
like, no, we're good. Man, some of these were kind of shoddy.
We've still got a lot of stock.
Speaking of that side of the world, let's talk a little bit about Hong Kong. So
Yeah.
currently, Hong Kong police are just shooting people now. It's fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of the protesters in Hong Kong have gotten kind of pissed. I actually saw an article where some people are starting to now shoot flaming arrows back at the police.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I kind of laughed because that's so quintessentially Chinese. You know, all the murals with the flaming arrows and whatnot. But when you're shooting people and you're macing kids in the face,
Yeah,
you kind of get what you deserve.
it was the other thing too. Yeah, they maced a little girl in the face with some pepper spray. That was nice of them.
Yeah.
The protesters have also done this really fun thing where they're super gluing down like pieces of like rock and concrete block to the street as kind of a fuck you. And actually now the Chinese government, like the mainland government, has actually brought in PLA soldiers to remove the blocks that have been like cemented and like glued to the street.
Nice.
Now they're unarmed, but they're still there trying to remove them.
Right.
Basically as a workforce.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, things are heating up over there. I also know that they're starting to test improvised ballistic vests for people.
That's good if they could get some protection.
Because people are getting shot all the time now by the police. And yeah, they're taking like 2 or 3 sheets of like 1 or 2 mil aluminum sheeting, and layering them up. And apparently, it can stop up to a kind of like a. I actually think it can stop up to a 45.
Oh wow.
So, 2 sheets does not, but 3
Yeah.
seems to be the magic number.
Yeah, so hopefully
consistency.
Hopefully that'll afford them some protection. And talking about the police, I know we talked earlier. It's a lot of these police, not all of them are a lot of them are Hong Kong citizens that are probably agree with the protesters, but they're stuck in a tough place. Now some of them are just thugs, but they're stuck in a place as well. Whereas, when you're under that kind of scrutiny from the mainland Chinese government, you can't just up and quit your job. I mean, they've employed, obviously we know they employed gangs to intimidate and threaten people.
Yeah.
And these police are also worried about their families as well. So especially the higher level you go, if they were to resign or refuse to take part in some of these actions, they have to worry about their own families.
Yeah. So it's starting to get really ugly.
Yeah, which is just a bad situation all the way around.
So thoughts and prayers to those in Hong Kong. Hopefully they can do something about this, although things are not looking good.
No, it's not looking good, but hopefully it will come to a peaceful resolution soon.
Peaceful and positive resolution.
Yeah,
This peaceful resolution could just be arresting protesters and being done with it.
that's true. That's
So
true.
hopefully positive isn't like government will. The Hong Kong government will be able to assert itself over Beijing to an extent and say, hey, Beijing, fuck off. You're causing all these problems.
Right.
We got 50 years. We're only halfway in. You can't keep fucking with us. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and 25 more years to go, and that'll give people plenty of time to make up their minds too of what they want their future to be. Do they want to be part of the communist Chinese government, or do they want to immigrate somewhere else?
Well, yeah, that gives people the opportunity to immigrate out. And that's another thing, too, is a lot of people that are residing in Hong Kong were people that fled mainland China either during the Cultural Revolution or they fled during the Tiananmen Square things, or they're, refugees from Falun Gong practitioners or some of the other, quote-unquote persecuted groups in China. They've fled to Hong Kong, and
Right.
they're safe there effectively. But as things count down towards, reunification day with Hong Kong and China as full integration, and Hong Kong no longer gets to keep their own system, then they're going to have to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad news. But speaking of cultural revolutions, I think we're going to talk a little bit about our own. I know you'd mentioned something about the not owning anything.
Yes. Actually, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll get back into that once
Okay.
we get back from that. But yeah, that's actually where we're going to go next. But that's going to be the bulk of the rest of the show, and I don't want to
Right.
do that without a break first.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
let's get to commercials. We'll see you guys here in a sec.
Hi, I would like to take a minute to tell you a bit about Hero Song. Hero Song is a 501c3 non-for-profit organization set up to record the music of veterans, active duty, and first responders who also have musical ambitions. Music is great for the soul, and that's what makes us unique and ever so wonderful. Please check them out and consider giving them your support. Again, that's at herosong.org. Thanks.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the content. If you are, make sure to press that like and subscribe button right down there. And if there's any material and stuff you would like to see us cover, we're more than happy to do that for you as well. Hope to have some new content coming out for our Patreon subscribers. Those of you that are, in the mood to do that, we also have one of those. Should be pretty easy to find us, the Donut Hole Show. And yeah,
Yeah, and once we get some more subscribers, we'll probably start a merch store, do some mugs, some hats, things like that. We're just now starting out. Hopefully this episode got our audio quality fixed and continue to move forward for you guys and offer more and more every week.
yep. So thanks again, guys.
Alrighty, we're back from the break, and as you were about to segue us into in the last segment, I was going to talk a bit about the whole kind of new society movement that we're moving towards, where ownership of things is really not going to be a thing. Obviously, there was a TED Talk from a lady from, I believe, somewhere in Northern Europe. I might have referenced it in an earlier show, but she was talking about, basically no one's going to own the place they live, anything like even the things in their home they're not going to own. We're starting to see this already now with the introduction of things like Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix, now Disney Plus, all these things, of course Spotify, all this stuff like this. You don't own the music, you don't own the movies, you don't have a physical copy of it. Disney's notorious for doing this. It's like they don't want you to have something, they're just going to pull it.
Yeah.
And sit on it for forever.
Right.
God knows we know that quote unquote racist thing that they came out with, Song of the South. That's been locked away in the Disney vault and buried in
Yeah, and they
never
even
to
have
see the light of day.
warnings on stuff like you remember the "We Are Siamese," the cats.
Yeah.
They have a warning on that. They're still showing it, but there's a warning.
And it's a warning on the
On the Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They've come out with the streaming service, and apparently they're putting warnings of outdated cultural depictions in some of their movies.
okay.
Which some of that I figured, Song of the South, pretty racist.
Yeah, that one's kinda bad.
that one I got to say, yeah. But the Siamese cat singing, come on, that's a bit much.
So yeah, but anyway, like that was kind of going off on a bit of a tangent. Like, well, Disney can lock away whatever they want, and they'll pull it from production. And now that Disney owns Fox,
Yeah.
they also own all that. So I think Back to the Future, a bunch of other stuff, like it's gone. It's Disney now, which is as far as that goes, Disney's getting a little out of hand. They're starting to become a monopoly, I think, in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I don't want to give them any money. And for me, a lot of people say that, especially right wing people, because they're somewhat of a leftist company. For me, it more so has to do with their greedy business practices and that kind of thing. So I prefer not to give them any money.
I don't like it. Like I said, my old lady's subscribed to Disney Plus, but we've got young kids, and of course, Disney movies, young kids. That kind of it's a thing.
Oh, that's going to be a huge success. I know, some of these other people that have done these streaming services have not had as much success, but everybody with kids is going to have Disney Plus. They're going to get their money.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, what kid's not going to want to watch, Lion King or Monsters Inc.
But like you said, that leads us back into, you don't, and I said that I noticed this 10 years ago actually, and I didn't think it was going to, even before Uber or Airbnb or any of this other kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was mainly with like Netflix before they were even streaming, even 15 years ago when they were just, DVD company. I used to say, well, I don't know how many people are going to do this stuff because the goal is to reduce your monthly bills and payments, not increase them. But I think we've culturally shifted to where people don't mind paying these installment subscription fees for things. And, Uber and Airbnb is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
It's basically little test programs. Because I think I saw a talk by this same lady you're talking about that was talking. Was she mentioning something about her apartment being
Yeah,
used for business
exactly.
meetings?
Yep.
When she was away from it, and it wasn't really her apartment.
Yep.
It was she only needed it during these hours, and then the business people came in during the day.
Yep, and the clothes would be brought in when you need them. The pots and pans.
Oh
same
yes,
thing,
yes, same
everything.
lady. Yeah. And she
same
said
one.
you just call like an Uber on your phone, but it's for pots and pans. I want to cook a meal, and they would deliver the.
Yeah, and you're seeing this now with the delivery services for groceries, the like I said, the music subscription, the entertainment subscriptions, vehicle subscriptions with like Share My Ride or Uber or Lyft.
Oh,
or-
even major retailers are starting to do this. Like our manufacturers, rather, like BMW, they have a subscription service.
Yeah.
So just trade in the car as many times as you want.
Yep.
You know. So
So yeah, that's where we're gonna get to a point where people do not own anything. The idea of owning a physical DVD or Blu-ray disc is gonna be obsolete.
Yes.
People are not gonna really do that so much.
and younger people don't seem to understand that this. They think it's a great thing. They think, well, I'm unencumbered by this and that. But the problem to me with it lies in the lack of ownership breeds lack of responsibility. You tend to not take care of things when you don't actually own it. So in other words, you get, okay, this new business is going to be using my home or the home that I live in. It's not my home. Well, they may not care too much about your apartment or your home, and they may trash the place. You know, I don't think it's going to work out as well as people would think it
No,
is.
I mean, I get some of the ideas. I mean, because I'll even admit that I've got like a couple of music subscription services
Yeah.
for work because I obviously do the DJ work. So, and nowadays with a lot of the music that comes out, I don't really want to buy it because it's crap. So yeah, it's okay. You know, $10-20 a month to be able to use it, interface it with my equipment. Okay, that works.
Right.
It's worth it then, because of course I'm making money off of it anyway. It's a business expense to write off, not a big deal. But on other things, it's slowly chipping into the soon people will not own things.
Yeah.
And that's starting to get really
It'll
weird.
just be token, personal items.
a couple things, but
know,
not a lot. Yeah.
Like your cigarette lighter or your pocket knife. You may own those things, but
Yeah.
it's in general, you're not going to own the furniture. You're not going to
No.
own even the linens on your bed. You just have a company that
Yep,
comes
shifts
and
it out.
changes them out.
Yep.
And a lot of this is being pushed as far as from an environmental perspective. I know that lady who gave that talk talked about that. And yes, it does make somewhat sense from an environmental perspective as far as you don't have to manufacture nearly as many pots and pans if that one frying pan is being used for 10 people.
But at the same time, that one frying pan, everyone's going to need that frying pan at roughly around the same time.
Well, yes, but the lady in the talk said, well, we don't cook dinner that much. We order food. It's only a special occasion where you may actually cook, so everybody would be different. That was her concept. Doesn't sound like a life I want to live.
Yeah.
I think if I want to cook dinner, I just want to cook dinner. I don't want to have to order a frying pan ahead of time. But once again, I think it's more dangerous. Just lack of ownership is lack of responsibility. Everything becomes somebody else's problem. It's really bordering on a communistic, socialistic idea of how things should run.
Yeah. And of course, in those societies, there was always a deficit or a shortage of things. You'd have a deficit in the Soviet Union, obviously. It was like, oh, right now we're having a meat deficit. And, you couldn't, there was meat in the store, but not enough for everybody. So you better
Right.
get there early, and the lines around the block. So good luck.
Yeah.
And there's a car deficit. It takes 10 years to buy a car. You put in your order, and you'll get the same exact Lada that they've been making for the last 40 years in another 10 years. Because that was the thing, too, is they basically manufactured the exact same car from like 1968 or 64 or whatever it was, all the way through like 2004. The exact
Yeah.
same car. Nothing
Yeah.
changed. All the parts are 100% interchangeable.
Right.
It's like,
And
Wow.
what's funny is always what fills the gaps, and what would fill the gap in this new non-ownership society would be the free market. The free market will pop up as a black market,
yeah.
and that's what happens. I mean, that's what we see in those type of societies. And that's funny that they did nothing but try to get away from the free market, and they ended up just breeding an illegal free market. So it's kind of hard to eliminate the free market.
Well, they did the same thing, and the same things happened in North Korea. Obviously, we had the big famine in the 90s, and a lot of people just said, screw this. I'm growing some food over here on this little side thing that I've got. I'm going to do that. And the government kind of got a little pissed, but eventually they're like, yeah, okay, actually, yeah, do that. Oh, yeah, it's okay. Oh, you guys want to sell it to each other too? Okay, because not everybody has that little plot of
Right,
land. So it's
right.
okay, outdoor markets only. And basically now it's almost a free reign now, from what I'm understanding, with a lot of imported goods from China. People are selling those too.
Yeah.
It became a big deal with up until very, very recently. Like, it was illegal to do all this buying and selling for the most part in a free market situation like they had, and they've just now started licensing people to do it.
Yeah.
So
Which that's, look at what happened with Chinese businesses in the last 30 years. So it's kind of funny that it always comes back to the free market, and yet we continue to try to go backwards economically.
yeah,
Like the non-ownership of things. It's basically just a newfangled way of saying communism. The mechanisms may be different, but the state gives you a pot and pan. The state gives you, it may not be the state, it may be a corporation, but it's still the same concept.
well, it's and that's the weird thing we're running into now in the West is it's not going to be straight up communism. At least I have a little more respect for straight up communism because it's one entity doing it all. There's at least some. It's going to be a little easier to manage it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's capitalism meets communism in this weird corporatism thing. It doesn't even it doesn't even have
the
a
worst
word
of both.
Yeah, exactly. It's the worst of both because you have basically, probably in this instance, monopoly companies controlling an entire market in bed linens, and you have to call up Bed Linens Express to get your bed linens.
And if they can't produce it,
You're out of luck.
nobody's responsible.
Nobody's responsible, and there's no alternative, and there's nothing else you
Right.
can do about it. And guess what? You're sleeping on a bare mattress
Whereas
or on the floor.
at least with Soviet-style communists, the government was responsible.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, there would be nobody responsible. Well, that company failed to do their job. Oh, well, they're a private company. Sorry, guys.
Yep. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And again, they'd probably have a monopoly in it and be the only ones doing it.
Right.
And they'd be government subsidized, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Because your taxpayer money is now going to fund this company that's not even delivering the bed linens they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a total disaster.
Yeah, it's the concept is basically all the foibles of communism, but with companies making massive amounts of profits. At least communism did not allow for
Have
the
the
profits.
because in this instance, these profits are actually very exploitive.
Yes.
Whereas in communism, people were exploited, but
Well, in communism, you're a slave.
Yeah.
You have to work, and that's under the threat and penalty of imprisonment.
Mm-hmm.
Men with guns will take you to a cage if you do, and that's slavery. That's what communism is slavery.
but the left loves it so much. Hey, that's kind of a standard theme, isn't it, with the Democrat Party in the United States?
It really
they love
is.
that slavery.
They do love that slavery. They
So-
really do, in one form or another. They constantly change the form of it,
They do.
but they love the slavery. And we're talking about not owning things, and actually had a conversation about not owning ideas either.
Yeah.
I noticed this with a lot of the urban leftist people. They have these ideas of the way things should be, but that never applies to themselves. They never even put themselves in that picture. It's just basically everybody else's problem. The government needs to make a rule, and they fail to see that each individuals make their own choices. They don't understand that. They divorce themselves from it. Their core belief is that humans are basically like water, and we just follow the path of least resistance, which is often true. But they think that the government has the ability to dictate that path of least resistance. And as we've seen with communism, they really are not very good at that. They're not good at guiding people to do the things they want them to do. It seems that cultures and religions are better at that than governments have been in the past.
Yeah. Speaking of culture shift in the United States, obviously, there's a big cultural divide currently in the United States. We've got, with politics and what have you. And then moreover, if things continue on the path they're going, the United States is just going very, very left. And we probably will reach a point in which the right will never be able to get a say in government. So that's going to be a thing. In which case, we're going to be this garbage leftist utopia like we were just talking about, which sucks.
Yeah.
However, the alternative, which I was kind of hoping for before, but now I'm starting to see that is also kind of terrible, thusly now bringing me to the conclusion that no matter what happens, we're screwed. If by chance the United States splits amicably, or has a civil war, obviously amicable separation's way better. Not calling for anything. Again, I don't want to be, cause of inciting violence or anything like that. But even if so, what's going to end up ultimately happening is the global hegemony of the United States trying to kind of keep a check and balance with people like China that are currently being very antagonistic, especially regionally, is the United States will not have any ability or full strength to be able to do anything about it.
Right.
The American relevance are America being relevant are relevant. I can't talk today. Yeah, America being relevant in the global stage, even as fractured sections of it, even if 10 states here, 20 states here, whatever, grouped together, they weren't their own independent country. They're not going to be relevant in any way whatsoever. And thusly not able to really affect any kind of change, thus leaving a power vacuum to be filled by the likes of maybe Russia, maybe China, maybe India, maybe Brazil, whoever, the European Union. Somebody's going to come in and try to fill as much of that vacuum as possible. And I think you'll just see regional powers playing it out, and there won't be a global kind of overseer, if you will. Not sure if that's really America's job, but there are instances where that kind of should be, because there are some people out there that are trying to take advantage of, those that have less power. The whole Taiwan China thing comes to mind.
Well, ultimately, I think the cultural problem here, and seems to be a leftist value now, which I don't think it always was a leftist value, but the fact that everything is becoming so nihilistic. Why the Chinese are going to win the cultural battle is because they believe in China. They believe in something.
Yeah.
Americans have become so nihilistic, we no longer have patriotism. We no longer have a cohesive culture that sticks together. We're fractured there, obviously. We don't have a religion that brings us together. At least the Chinese have, we are Chinese. This is our identity. This is what we believe in moving forward. And I think we have mostly an entire generation or two of Americans that have become completely nihilistic. Other than seeking personal pleasures or personal enrichment, they have no higher values. Which that's the frightening part. That's why the Russia and the China will become more relevant in the world going forward, because they do have an identity. And as Americans, we really need to analyze, is this really what we want? Is we want those people taking over the world cultural prevalence that we have right now and Europe has right now? I don't think it's a good thing for humanity.
And
I'll say that.
Yeah, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I've been all pro-China. Okay, yeah, I like the culture, I like the everything about it. But with the current administration there and some of the things that they're doing and being as antagonistic in the global sphere, I'm now beginning to be a lot more frightened by it.
Well, and it also shows you how that can wildly swing when you have a one-party system.
Yeah.
If it was a two-party system and there was a little bit of resistance in China as to what's going on, a little pushback, free elections, it might be a little different.
Yeah, I mean, there is kind of a two-party system because there's two parties within the Communist Party. But yeah, one's kind of a go along to get along, which is kind of your Hu Jintao kind of Communist Party folks. And then, of course, the current administration, Xi Jinping, which is fuck the world. I'm going to take what I can and do what I can and screw everybody else. And I'm not as cool with.
That's, a lot of Chinese people agree with that. Fuck the world, take whatever we want.
Yeah, because
it's for us. We're for the Chinese people.
Because for a long time, I mean, historically, there was the issues with the Opium Wars and obviously it doesn't affect anybody who's still alive for the most part, or really at all, because that was late 1800s. But regardless, I mean, there was that was kind of even throughout the 1940s and 50s and 60s and throughout the Cultural Revolution, China was kind of really squashed down. They were not culturally relevant. They were not globally relevant. And now it's a lot of Chinese people feel, okay, it's now China's time to shine. We're going to take back everything that we can possibly take back. And hoorah, you know.
Yeah,
Which
and-
good on them for having a cultural identity.
And
everything.
Russia as well, because Russia was culturally relevant in the world for a long time.
Yeah, what, like 80 years?
Well, even you go back before the Soviet Union and the czars, it was a major player in Europe. Now they're not really a major player in much of anything, and they want to regain that. Make no mistake.
And
That-
Putin's doing his best that he can to try
and that's his motivation. Everybody says, well, his motivation is putting back together the former Soviet Union. I think it's more so Russian relevance in the world.
Russian relevance in the world, Russian prestige.
Yeah, because it has been lost ever since the fall of the Soviet Union. That long history they had. I mean, they were relevant in Europe 200 years ago, you know, and then the communists were definitely relevant in shaping world affairs. And now they've lost all their relevance, and they want to regain that. And they will do anything it takes. And a lot of the Russian people are on board with it.
Yeah. And you can't really fault them for it either.
No. But we've just got to the pinnacle of power in the world as far as Western civilization, and now we apparently want to commit suicide. Because there is no identity of, you know, the modern way of thinking is, you know, if you say, well, yeah, we want America to be the number one, to influence the world, well, the left thinks that's a terrible viewpoint. Well, if you're not going to be somebody else's, nature abhors a vacuum. I think that's a naive worldview that you can just basically roll over and play dead, and nobody else is going to fill that vacuum because somebody is. And right now, you don't want it to be China, and you don't want it to be Russia.
Well, let's continue, I guess, talking about all these fun things. Obviously, the tech giants of the world are not really playing so much in the United States anymore. Obviously, a lot of them are, whether it's even just a gaming company like Blizzard, whether, you know, it's Amazon, Facebook, you know, Google, whoever. They're starting to work a lot with the Chinese for the development of things like AI, for development of civilian monitoring systems with their whole like the surveillance systems and social credit scores and what have you. And of course, we're starting to see that. And that's I mean, we've touched on this from time to time, but it's only going to really help to respawn and really build up those the places that they're working on those things. And those technologies, kid you not, will be exported to the United States and utilized to their fullest extent here.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that people won't own anything, corporations will basically own all your information. The idea of privacy, even today, is a moot point. You don't have any. Just assume that if you have any kind of digital footprint, if you have a Facebook, Twitter, Google, you use Amazon, you buy anything online, hell, half the time, even if you have a cell phone or exist, your privacy's gone. It's the idea of privacy is something you could almost just forget about these days.
Well, and once again, we're talking about cultural values. Is these companies are going to go where the money is because they're without the patriotism, without the Western cultural values. When you break it all down, it's once again it's nihilism. What is a company here for? Well, if they don't have any of those other ancillary beliefs, if the people within that company running it don't have those ancillary beliefs, they simply exist to make profit.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the reason that, of course, nobody has privacy is going to be because you are the product.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Google doesn't make money by you searching, you know, for, you know, the best goat cheese recipe on the internet. They don't really give a rat's ass. They just know that, oh, you like goat cheese. So all of a sudden, boom, you search for how to make goat cheese. And now you got goat cheese sellers on Amazon as little adverts popping up over here. You're the product.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you this service for free. You're the product. The whole searching thing or whatever you're using it for doesn't mean shit.
That's why we're seeing these companies that are becoming worth numbers that 20 years ago would have been unheard of.
Yeah.
The amount of money that these companies are worth.
Who would have thought Amazon, which was basically a Barnes and Noble competitor,
Yeah, it's Barnes and Noble Online is basically what it was. Yeah.
and now they're everything. Yeah, and Amazon just doesn't do just buying shit online either. I mean, they do so many other things as well. So it is starting to branch out into like this tentacled monster monopoly thing. And you're seeing this with all these major companies.
Yeah.
They're starting to just swallow up companies, swallow up other companies. And, you know, I mean, almost all media in the United States is owned by 3 companies.
Yeah.
All of it. Like 90% of it.
And what I don't understand, which I understand how it came about, but I don't understand how the left, your common person on the street, has become so consumerist When I was younger and was a big leftist myself, it was very anti-consumerist. All the leftists, they talk out of both sides of their mouth now. They want to confiscate the wealth of the billionaire. They don't want to enrich the billionaire. But they're the most consumerist driven. They're the ones that buy the, Disney Plus products, want to buy the streaming products and funnel all their money to these corporations.
And they want to buy the newest iPhone 12 and all this other crap.
Right. They love Apple. They love and I have not been able to square that in my head how just the common folks on the street, I understand why the companies want them to perceive that because it makes them money. But how the common person on the street thinks that mass consumerism jibes with their liberal belief system.
Like sustainability and all this other crap.
Right,
Yeah, it's like,
yes. It doesn't make any sense to
oh, I got to go buy that new $70,000 Prius because sustainability. It's like, no.
But I guess the simplest explanation is usually the right explanation, little Occam's razor, is that simply they want to enrich themselves just like everybody else does. And they feel like if they can get more stuff and more stuff for free, then that's good.
Yeah, because they
It's
can do it on the back
simple
of
as
the other
that.
guy.
Yeah, it's once again, it's ideologically bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
There is no ideology behind it. They preach a high ideology, but all it is to get me more stuff.
Yeah, it's
get
smoke
me
and
free
mirrors.
health care, free this, free that. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
self-enrichment.
Speaking of the moral and just decay of the West, of course, we all know that currently in California, the homeless population, they have, in California, half the homeless population of the entire United States in
Yes.
California.
Yeah.
So if you're homeless, there's a 50% chance you're living in California. And if you're homeless and watching this video, give us a like. Say something down in the comments.
Yeah, it's become a mecca for the homeless, and it's because of their lax policies dealing with the homeless.
Yeah, whether it's the housing situation, the taking a dump on the sidewalk. Obviously, not all homeless people are drug users, but that is a factor. So the ability to shoot up in, on the side of the street, that's great. And of course, there's the property crimes. A lot of them are not being, if it's like, under $10,000 worth of property damage, that there's no prosecution whatsoever.
Right.
So you can walk into a Walmart, walk out with a $3,000 TV, and hey, that's okay.
Yeah, and it's
Want to go shopping? Let's go to California.
You might get arrested, but you're gonna just get let go, and it's never gonna be prosecuted. It's we're seeing this happen in Dallas. We talked about this on another podcast. They did something like $750 or below. They weren't gonna prosecute. And the American public seems to just be tolerating this.
Yeah.
And we just got finished with some of the lowest crime rates we've ever had in this nation. In the 90s was pretty high murder rates and stuff compared to now.
Yeah.
A lot of that has went down, but I think we're going to see a lot of it increasing because we're definitely seeing it increase in cities like Nashville. Nashville is one of the top 25 most dangerous cities in the nation right now.
I did not
Maybe
realize
26.
Didn't realize it was quite that bad, but that explains last night.
Every major city in Tennessee is in one of the top 50 dangerous, except for Knoxville, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually brings us full circle to last night. Well, as everybody knows, one of the jobs I do is I work, as a karaoke DJ and all that kind of fun stuff. Last night, end of the night, I'm hanging out, just finished tearing down equipment and just chatting with some people. And of course, I overhear somebody saying, "Oh crap, there's somebody in the bathroom and he's passed out and he's got a needle and he's got a gun too." It's like, yeah, this is fantastic. So literally last night, I hung around and waited for the cops and paramedics to get there, kind of keeping an eye on the situation, because I do have the security training and all that. Guy obviously shot up some heroin, so he's probably not going to come out of a stupor. But if he does, hey, we'll be
Right.
there to help with any situation, as low key as possible. But yeah, so we had some guy come in. I guess he ordered some food earlier, and then he didn't have anything to drink or anything. But I guess he ordered some food. Then he went in the bathroom. His buddy kept going in and out a few times. I guess he sold him some heroin. Homeboy thought it was a good idea to, while armed, shoot up enough heroin to pass himself out on the bathroom floor in a big puddle of piss, which was great.
Nice.
Because hell, a bunch of drunks, they can't fucking hit the urinal. They just piss all over the place. They are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, he got to lay there on the bathroom floor and just hang out, and until the paramedics and the cops showed up and drug his ass off to the hospital and probably later to jail for shooting
Yeah.
heroin in a bathroom and carrying an unlicensed or Obviously he probably didn't have a carry permit, so.
But at the end of the day, nothing's probably going to happen to the guy.
Well, he'll probably get. This is Tennessee. It's not going to be quite as bad as California, where it's just going to be a literal slap on the wrist and pat on the ass. But
Well, what I'm saying, he's probably just won't show up to his court date. He'll just,
Yeah.
he'll just disappear.
yeah, to California.
Could be, or just some street corner near you.
Yep. Especially now that
And,
come to find Nashville is such a dangerous city. I really have got to start stepping up my carry
Yeah,
game.
me
This
too.
little 380 is not going to do it, I don't think, for me anymore.
It's just not a safe place to be. And this perception of people moving here from other places thinking, oh well, it's this nice, sweet, safe place to raise your kids.
Yeah, it was till you assholes showed up.
Yeah, it was. It's not anymore, and it's really bad. And it's why I need to move further away myself and just get out of the mess that it's becoming.
Yeah, and that it is.
And being a tourist city, the tourists just don't care.
Yeah, but I'm sure this guy that was shooting heroin's not a tourist.
No.
He's just some fucking dipshit.
But I think a lot of that is because of tourists, because it attracts petty thieves and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
When there's a lot of tourists spend a lot of money, and they have a lot of money on them. But either way, yeah, it's a bad situation, and and until we start enforcing stricter laws, and hey, free healthcare. How about we use those tax dollars for the ambulance and the Narcan and the hospital visit for the heroin overdose guy? Why don't we use that, like, maybe for some kids? Just a thought.
yeah.
Just a thought. But we couldn't do that because that wouldn't be nice to the heroin guy.
No, I could really give a rat's ass about the heroin guy.
Well,
at this
that's what
point.
I'm saying.
If you want, even or just use that for the EpiPens, for fuck's sake. Those things are expensive as shit. You know?
help somebody out somewhere.
Yeah,
instead
somebody
of just
that,
perpetuating this low life's, hey, he's not going to quit.
Should there be an EpiPen in the ambulance? Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But, he better get a fucking, charge for that shit.
Yeah. Well, if this were the 60s, what they would have done, they would have taken him, thrown him in a jail cell, and if he died, he died. Because he took the damn heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was your choice to shoot up that much heroin. We're going to take you and throw you in a jail cell. And if you die, oh well.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem.
So, good times. Is there
Yeah.
anything else I forgot to cover? No, it looks like about it.
Yeah.
Well, boomers, if you enjoyed the show, press the like button and subscribe. Say something in the comments. And you got anything else, Boomer?
No. If they're watching this, they're definitely boomers, though.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't get offended by us in the first 10 minutes, they're boomers.
Yeah, you're a boomer now.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, you might be younger than me.
Yep.
And I'm technically a millennial. So if you're younger than me and you liked anything about this program today, then congratulations, you're a boomer.
Congratulations, guys. Go get that Social Security.
Yep, that AARP.
Yep.
Don't forget to subscribe for Medicare Part D. Alrighty, guys. Like I said, thank you guys for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Oh, that's funny.